This week for Advent, the second week of Advent, we're reflecting on love. So there's a story about St. Therese of Lisieux, how when she was in the convent living with the sisters, there was one particular sister who really irritated her, and so she didn't know what to do. So what she decided to do was she very intentionally would love her. She would pray for her a lot. She would smile with her and just kind of joke around with her and just spend some time very intentionally with her. And at one point the sister said, "I don't know what I ever did to Therese to make her love me so much." And Therese related that it was funny for her to hear this because internally she was not feeling any sentiment of love at all towards the sister. But because she had made little acts of love all the time, the sister perceived herself as being loved by St. Therese. And so what we learn as well is that love is an act of the will. That whether or not we feel the sentiments of love for other people or sentiments of love for God, what's important is that we have that act of the will to choose to love God. We hear in the gospel readings that Jesus says the greatest two commandments, the first is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. And so both of these involve an act of the will. That to love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, I have to choose to take time with the Lord in prayer, to take time to study the scriptures and to learn his law, and then to implement that in my life, to live out the teachings that he has given to us. And so it involves many acts of the will. The same as with all those people in our lives, those who frustrate us, those who irritate us, and many other things, even those who we even do enjoy being around. We have to take those moments to intentionally love them by making acts of the will, to pray for them, to spend time with them, and to genuinely try to love them, whether or not we feel the sentiments of love. So as we know, as we're celebrating Advent, we're celebrating Christ come into the world, Christ who is the love of the Father made flesh, and he's come into the world to redeem us. And so we see his great love for us, and that inspires us to love him back with this great love. And then in turn, we seek to love each other as ourself. So I thought I'd wrap up with a little bit of just a question of, during Advent, who or what in your life is an opportunity to love God and neighbor? Where are the opportunities in your life where you can love God better and where you can love your neighbor, especially those whom you don't feel the sentiments of love towards? There's a beautiful prayer. It's called an act of love. So we're familiar with an act of contrition a lot of times with confession, but the act of love goes like this. "Oh my God, I love you above all things with my whole heart and soul, because you are all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for the love of you, and I forgive all who have injured me, and I ask pardon for all whom I have injured." And in this prayer, we're acknowledging that by an act of the will, we are loving God and our neighbor, and we're seeking to love them as ourselves. And so this weekend, let us seek to love our God and neighbor as we celebrate the season of Advent.